In the summer of 1983, a classified document was filed deep within the archives of the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command. It didn't contain troop movements. It didn't contain nuclear launch codes. It was something far more profound. It was commissioned by this man, Major General Albert Stubblebine. Stubblebine wasn't just a soldier. He was convinced that the Soviet Union was winning a war that the United States didn't even know it was fighting. The Psychic War. He ordered his subordinate, Lieutenant Colonel Wayne M. McDonnell, to investigate a civilian technology called the Gateway Experience. The mission was simple: debunk it, find the flaw, prove it's a hallucination, shut it down. But McDonnell didn't shut it down. He spent weeks at the Monroe Institute. He hooked subjects up to EEG machines. He analyzed the waveforms. And he came back with a conclusion that terrified the intelligence community. He wrote, "Solid matter, in the strict construction of the term, simply does not exist." He reported that the universe is a hologram, a complex projection of energy frequencies. And he reported that human consciousness, if tuned to the right frequency, could exit the hologram and walk through walls. To prove this, McDonnell relied on two men: Robert Monroe, the radio executive who built the machine to tune the brain, and Itzhak Bentov, the physicist who mapped the engineering of the soul. They provided the scientific framework for the impossible. For 20 years, this report was buried, and when it was finally released, one page was missing. Page 25. The page that explains who is running the hologram. Welcome to File 005. We are going to read the missing page. The biggest obstacle to leaving the matrix is your own biology. The CIA report explains that the human brain acts as a reducing valve. It is designed to filter out 99% of reality so you can focus on survival. It blocks the signal. It keeps you trapped in the physical. This filter is powered by division. Your left hemisphere processes logic, math, and time. Your right hemisphere processes intuition, art, and space. In a normal person, these two sides never talk to each other. They're out of phase. So, how do we break the filter? We use a hack called the frequency following response. If you play a 100 Hz tone in the left ear and a 104 Hz tone in the right ear, the brain gets confused. It cannot hear the difference. So, to compensate, it creates a third signal. It creates a phantom beat of exactly 4 Hz. This forces both hemispheres to synchronize. The logic and the intuition merge. The jamming signal drops. You are now in a state of Hemi-Sync. The report uses a specific analogy. A normal mind is like a lamp. Energy is scattered and weak. A synchronized mind is like a laser. Energy is focused and coherent. Once you are a laser, you can cut through the hologram. But a laser needs a power source. Next, we move down to the engine room. We have tuned the brain, but the brain is just the steering wheel. The engine is the heart. The CIA report relies heavily on the work of Itzhak Bentov, a biomedical engineer who discovered that the heart is not just a pump. It is a sound generator, a biological transducer. It sets the frequency for the entire system. Bentov discovered something called the bifurcation echo. Every time your heart beats, it shoots a pressure wave down your aorta. When that wave hits the fork in your legs, it bounces back. In a normal person, this echo is chaotic. It clashes with the next heartbeat. The signals cancel each other out. Energy is wasted. But in a gateway state, you slow your heart rate down. You time it so the echo returns exactly as the heart fires again. Physics calls this a standing wave. The energy doesn't cancel out. It multiplies. You are now a coherent energy system. The resonance builds. This standing wave shoots up the spine and vibrates the skull. Suddenly, your entire body turns into a tuned antenna. You stop acting like a biological organism and start acting like a high-powered oscillator, vibrating at a frequency far beyond the physical. The signal is clear, and this is where it gets terrifying. The report states that this vibration usually settles between 7 and 7.5 Hz. That is the exact frequency of the planet, the Schumann resonance. You are not just synchronizing with yourself. You are synchronizing with the world. The planet itself is the carrier wave. Resonance with the infinite. Now that the machine is running, we can turn on the projector. Next part, we build the hologram. Welcome to the Matrix. We have the laser, the brain, and the engine, the heart. Now, we need to understand the projector. To create a hologram in a lab, you need two beams of energy. One, the working beam, which bounces off the object. Two, the reference beam, which stays still. This is the foundation of how we perceive the entire universe. The code is in the collision. When these two beams collide, they create an interference pattern. It looks like chaotic ripples on a pond, but that chaos contains the code for the entire image. The report states that the human mind works exactly the same way. Your brain is not a camera, it is a decoder. It freezes the waveform into what we call reality. Your sensory input, your eyes, ears, touch, is the working beam. It bounces off the chaotic world. It sends noisy data into your brain. It is unstable. It is messy. It is the static of the physical. Without a reference, it's just noise. The signal is lost in the static. But your heart, specifically the electrostatic field created by the bifurcation echo, acts as the reference beam. It provides the standing wave, the stable background signal that allows the brain to decode the chaos. The heartbeat becomes the clock, the universal metronome. Synchronization achieved. When you enter Hemi-Sync, you stabilize the reference beam. Suddenly, the interference pattern clears up. You stop seeing the blurry, low-resolution version of reality. Materialism is just a bad signal. You see the resolution behind a veil. Reality begins to shift. You start seeing the high-resolution source code. You see the energy grid. Next part, we leave the grid. Welcome to the other side. We think reality is continuous, like a video stream, but the report says it's actually a strobe light. Energy is constantly oscillating between motion and rest. It flashes on existence. It flashes off non-existence. It just happens so fast, we see a solid line, a seamless illusion. But the line is a lie. But if you zoom in, deep into the quantum fabric, you hit a limit. The Planck distance, 10 to the power of negative 33 centimeters. This is the pixel size of the universe. Nothing can exist smaller than this. This is the floor of reality, the source code of existence. Here's the secret. When a wave of energy hits its peak and turns around to go down, it must theoretically stop for an infinitesimal moment. During that moment, it is not moving. It is not in time. It is in the gap between flashes. The point of exit. This is the click out. If you can synchronize your consciousness to hit that exact frequency, you don't go back down into the physical. You slip through the gap. You fall below the Planck distance. The physical laws no longer apply. You have escaped the strobe. You leave the space-time dimension, and you enter time-space. In this dimension, the strobe light is off. There is no time. There is only an eternal now. Everything that was, is, and will be, is present. The perspective shifts. But where exactly are you? You are inside the egg. Next part, we map the universe. See you in the map. You have left the physical body. You are now floating in the absolute, and you see the true shape of the universe. The report calls it the cosmic egg. Physics calls it a torus, a self-contained energy system. It creates its own time and space. It is the engine of all existence, the infinite circulation of consciousness. The universe works like a fountain. Energy exits from the top, the white hole. This is the source. It projects the hologram. Energy flows down, creating the illusion of time. And finally, it is sucked back into the bottom, the black hole. The cycle is complete. Out of the source, back to the source. We live on the skin of the egg. We are trapped in the flow. Because the energy is moving, we experience time. Past and future are just points on the curve. The loop creates the sequence. The sequence creates the story. The trap of the temporal. When you click out, you detach from the skin. You stop moving with the flow of time. You float into the center of the torus, the eye of the storm. Total detachment achieved. The noise of the physical world fades to zero. You are the observer. In the center, nothing moves. There is no time. There is no space. There is only potential. This is what the report calls the absolute, the battery that powers the hologram. All things originate here. All things return here. The singular point of power, the center of the egg. But you can't stay in the center forever. You need a map to navigate the levels. Next part, we enter focus 10. Prepare for navigation. You are back in your body. But you are not awake, and you are not asleep. This is Focus 10. Your body is entirely paralyzed. It is heavy, like lead. It is asleep, but your mind is hyper-alert. You are trapped in a biological cage, a prison of flesh and bone. The physical link is breaking. In this state, you don't see dreams. You see 3D blackness. The report describes it as a velvety void that has depth. You can feel the space around you extending to infinity, even though you can't see it. You are floating in a sensory deprivation tank of your own making. The world is gone. Only you remain. Then, you switch to Focus 12. The report calls this expanded awareness. Imagine a balloon being blown up. Your consciousness expands beyond the physical limits of your body. You can see through your eyelids. You can hear frequencies that aren't there. You are the antenna. The boundaries are gone. This is where the data comes in. In Focus 12, you start receiving information that isn't coming from your eyes. It appears as geometry, patterns, intuition. You are accessing the working being directly, without the filter of the brain, the raw signal, direct perception. But Focus 12 is still just the lobby. You are still in time. You are still observing a sequence of events. To go deeper, you have to break the rule of time itself. To break the barrier, the final hurdle, the leap of faith, into the unknown. You have to enter the state where the past and future happen at the same time. Next part, Focus 15. See you in the now. You have broken the barrier. You are now in Focus 15. The report calls this no time. To understand this, you have to realize that time is not a flow. It is a wheel. And in Focus 15, you step off the wheel to look at it. You are the observer of the loop. The machine of time stops. This is explained in Annex B of the report. It describes a total inversion of physics. Here on Earth, space is rigid and time is fluid. But in Focus 15, it flips. Space becomes fluid. Time becomes rigid. The foundations of reality are reversed. The trap is inverted. Time becomes rigid. It becomes a frozen landscape that you can walk across. The past is not gone. It is just a location down the street. The future is a building already standing. Everything is present. Everything is accessible. The map is the territory. Navigation is possible. This is why the CIA was interested. If time is a solid object, you can touch it. You can mold it. The report calls this patterning. You can project your consciousness into the future and rearrange events. You return to the present to wait for them to happen. Causality is a tool. The future is set. You are editing the film reel before it plays. But there is a limit. You are still inside the system. You are still dealing with events. You are still a prisoner of the wheel. The blueprint is modified. The outcome is changed. The experiment continues. Protocol saved. To meet the entities who built the wheel, you have to cross the final bridge. Next part, Focus 21. Leave the map behind. You have reached the end of the human map. Focus 15 was the end of time. Focus 21 is the end of context. This is the edge of the physical universe. The report calls it the bridge. A transition to the unknown. The map ends here. The navigation changes. Beyond context. Beyond identity. When you cross this bridge, you are entering other energy systems. You are no longer in the human hologram. And you are not alone. The report explicitly states that interdimensional entities inhabit this space. Energy forms. Intelligent. Ancient. They are the keepers of the gate. The first contact. These are not hallucinations. They are intelligent energy forms. But they don't speak English. They don't use words. They use a form of high-speed telepathy called rote, a different protocol of communication. Direct mind-to-mind transfer. Data without medium. The language of the absolute. Related organized thought energy. They don't say hello. They throw a ball of pure meaning at your mind. You receive the entire concept, the history, the emotion, the intent, instantly. It is an explosion of knowledge. Downloading reality. The filter is bypassed. Consciousness expanded to the limit. The ultimate road. But Focus 21 is as far as you can go while keeping your ego. To go further, to meet the source, you have to destroy the self. You have to drop the identity of who you think you are. No name, no body, no past. Only consciousness remains. The end of the ego. Are you ready to die? Next part, the absolute. The final return. Home. You have dissolved your ego. You have crossed the bridge. You are now standing in the absolute. This is the subject of the missing page 25. The report asks, what is God? The answer is not a man in the sky. It is the source of all that was, is, and will be. The primordial frequency. The final answer. The absolute is defined as infinite energy at rest. Think of it like a battery. It contains the potential for every galaxy, every thought, and every life, but it is doing nothing. The silent core of existence, the potential of the infinite, the engine of the absolute. So, why does the hologram exist? Page 25 explains that the absolute wanted to know itself. But you cannot know silence unless you hear noise. You cannot know light unless you see shadow. Contrast creates context. Division creates experience. The hologram is born. So, the absolute shattered itself. It broke into billions of tiny fragments of consciousness. You, me, the stars, and projected us into the hologram to experience change. We are the probes sent out by God to explore the universe. We are the hands of the absolute, the explorer fragments. This is the cosmic joke. You are not living in the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself. You are the absolute playing a game called being human. You locked yourself in the cage just to see if you could escape. The laughter of the absolute, the realization of the one. The end of the game. The gateway process is not about leaving the body. It is about remembering who you were before you entered it. The file is open. The cage is unlocked. Wake up. The absolute remains. End of file 005.